members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
Welcome to our discussion, reaction, spoiler-full of Loki Season 2, Episode 4. This one is called Heart of the TVA. Who or what is the heart of the TVA? Isn't questioned in this episode. Yeah.
There was a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in this episode. So, if you haven't been to one of our reviews in the past, welcome. Hit like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Share with your friends. We meander quite a bit because we want to talk about the themes and the concepts. We give the example of what they did in the episode and then talk about what that could actually mean for the entire show. We also say, pay your actors. They sat down again this week. Let's get this shit figured out. But I have to start with what the hell was that?
So much.
So the episode ends with the loom exploding after Timely goes out and gets spaghettified.
Spaghettification.
And then the loom blows up, and then the ring of energy from the explosion explodes out and takes out the control center, and then the screen goes black for 3, 4, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they just leave it at that. What a bunch of douches.
They're going to get you to watch next week.
We're going to watch next week anyways.
That's true. But they did talk about in the episode, somebody dropped a whole, the TVA will just become a crater in
the cosmos.
In the cosmos, or whatever. So
Sylvie said that, I think.
Yeah, so they kind of have set all that up for you, right? But do you want to start at the beginning and not at the end?
I think we have to at least discuss the end as at the start, because everything leads up. There's like this domino effect all the way down through the episode. So to sit there and say, okay, we get to they fail. Essentially, the episode is about everybody failing.
Or did they?
The episode starts with Ravonna and Miss Minutes directly after last week's episode.
Yep.
At the temple with He Who Remains body in decay. And Miss Minutes shows Ravonna. I'm going to do that every time. Renslayer shows Renslayer that she was the lieutenant in charge of the army during the Time War, that He Who Remains, she fought for him by his side, and then he ordered everyone's memories to be wiped.
Yep.
And Renslayer took it exactly like you think she was going to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely did not like that.
Well, especially, Mobius has been telling her that. He was telling her that in the end of season 1.
Yeah.
And she was like, no. Well, potentially.
Right.
I don't trust Miss Minutes at all.
No.
Potentially, that's exactly what happened, and he's the one that ordered it.
Yeah.
So, potentially,
right. But the conversation there, I think the big part there is Renslayer makes a decision that it should be her in charge.
Yeah.
And not a Kang variant, He Who Remains variant, not Victor Timely.
Right. Well, again, Miss Minutes plants that in her brain, right? You were the one that went back. He wiped everybody's memories, and because Renslayer she's kind of getting there sort of on her own, but Miss Minutes is like feeding it, that she went back and did his bidding.
Yeah.
And she was the one doing all the work.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't she be the one?
He got to stay in his Eiffel Tower of control Ivory Tower. Eiffel Tower works too.
Tower. Yeah. So she was
the
one doing all the work anyway.
Yeah.
And taking, notes or direction maybe from him.
Yeah.
So, she's like, I'll just go do what I've been doing, which is everything.
Just like a corporate CEO taking all the credit for their underlings' heavy work.
Yeah.
And even more so, it's a man taking all the credit for all the work that his underling, the woman did.
He did say he was sorry.
He did apologize, and he did feel bad about it.
Yeah. I mean, you still just don't know where He Who Remains, like, you feel like he's not telling the truth, probably because he's a Kang variant, so you don't trust him. But then he comes across as, I was the only Kang variant here trying to save everything. Maybe he was.
Right.
I have thoughts.
I have concerns that He Who Remains as a Kang variant, that introduction, which is different than the comics, is trying to lead us as the audience down the path that there are good versions of Kang.
Right.
Or at least neutral.
I mean, Victor Timely
is coming across very
Yes, until he was spaghettified.
Yes.
He was, he even said it. You don't know my heart. If there's, a million different variants, I don't know what the number is, whatever. I mean, are they all going to be bad? Probably not. That would be
Yeah.
But is He Who Remains one of the good guys or one of the bad guys? You just don't know.
I want to say because it's a conversation that Sylvie and Loki have in the pie room, where Loki is trying to save the version of the TVA to help usher timelines and save those people, and Sylvie just wants to burn the whole thing to the ground. And Loki's like, yeah, you're right. We can burn the whole thing to the ground and rebuild, or we could do the hard thing and fix what's broken.
Right.
But in that process of that conversation, he kind of goes down the path of conversation of, then we can help the timelines be the best versions of themselves or something along that line or whatever.
Right.
And she's like, and we're back to where we were. We're doing exactly what they were doing before, where they were pruning unwanted, unneeded, timelines,
right,
from the one sacred timeline.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily what Loki was trying to say.
It's not, but that's where he was. That's where he went.
Well, I don't think he was trying to say pruning them.
No,
but I think more from that conversation was just Sylvie finally saying, "How do we know?" And Loki saying, "We don't.
We don't. Hope.
Yeah.
Apparently, Loki has seen Star Wars." Because he's like, we have to hope that we do that people make the right decisions this time. We have to hope that people do that.
Right.
And she points out, so we hope that Victor isn't bad, and we hope that the TVA does the right thing, and or they fix the thing, and then we hope that the TVA doesn't use their power to be corrupted. Like it's a hope, and it's like the domino effect the other way of not having hope, of wanting to make it just a giant crater. There's a cascade event effect there going on too, and you have to stop. And it's like, Sylvie's not wrong,
right?
Because there's physical proof that this has happened before,
right?
Which is the flat circle of time,
right?
And now I want to talk about the flat circle of time, because Ouroboros, Victor shows up, they introduce him to Ouroboros. Ouroboros is like, well, I got all my plans from this guy named Victor Timely, and Victor Timely says, I got all my ideas from Ouroboros. And Mobius is like, time is a flat circle.
Which came first,
Right.
the chicken or the egg?
And that's the conversation, I think, mostly what's going on in this episode. You have Renslayer and Miss Minutes trying to circle back around,
Trying to bring it back to where
back
it was.
to where it was,
Yeah.
but they want to be the ones in charge this time.
Right.
Ouroboros and Victor and the Loki gang are all trying to bring it back around, but have it be in a better situation that B-15 wants. And then you have the whole conversation going on in the cell of the general who pruned a bunch of the timelines, and Brad?
Yeah.
And Brad wants to go back to his timeline, where he was the actor and famous and everything.
Yeah.
And then you have the general and Hall of her Minutemen who are convinced by B-15 to do the right thing and to fight against Renslayer, and to because you care about the TVA, you care about the people in this room. We all are trying to take care of this place, but your version and my version aren't the same. So we can't let her do it, because we can't have Renslayer do it, because
then we all lose.
And so the general and her Minutemen all like kind of agree, and then Renslayer and Miss Minutes show up, and they cubify them, the whole room, and the whole defiance of Renslayer, and that whole shot of Miss Minutes over her shoulder getting off on all of them getting squished. Everything that was in this episode was all about this loop of time and trying to control time, trying to be the person or the people in charge of that loop.
Yeah.
And it's all, and we get the loop of Loki
coming back on himself.
Yeah, so the second episode where he time slips, but he has to wait for the thing to happen, and he's got to prune himself, and he goes down the hallway, and the phone is ringing, and the elevator doors open, and it's Sylvie. That's the first introduction we get to Sylvie this episode. Well, come to find out, current Loki pruned his former self, who was currently in the current timeline. Because time is a flat circle.
And then they answer the phone.
And then they answer the phone
for 3 episodes.
And this really creepy, like, behind the phone, and a real slow, like, going and picking up, and the camera pans up, and it's like Loki and Sylvie way back, and they
it's like
really
a scary movie.
Slow.
Yeah.
Hi, and it's Ouroboros on the other end.
You finally picked up. Oh my god, that was because Tuesday's Halloween. That was your little Halloween.
That was your Halloween thing. That and them resetting the whole system to get Miss Minutes offline.
Yeah,
that means I could do magic.
Yeah,
and then Loki hiding in the shadows from Brad, and then Sylvie. What are they even calling it? Enchanted him.
Yeah.
To get into the room, and then he pulls Renslayer off, and then he prunes her.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's when we should have known.
Yeah, Renslayer's off the. Yeah, that's true. Renslayer's off the board, and then timely and past, future, current Loki gets pruned, and then timely gets spaghettified, and you're like, everybody, like, and the general and the Minutemen are cubified.
Yeah.
And like,
they killed
all the major players are now off. And they powered down Miss Minute.
Yeah, when they killed off the general and the Minutemen, I was like, okay, that makes sense from a villain point of view.
Yeah.
Of Renslayer and Miss Minutes. Miss Minutes is the villain this season. It's not Renslayer's puppet. That's where I'm going for right now. But okay, that conversation, I totally get that. Storytelling wise, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But then when Miss Minutes gets rebooted, in that whole process, she tells Victor, you will never be him in a zombie face.
Yeah.
As she glitches out,
and then she goes to like a DOS based
yeah,
clock,
yeah,
telling time, and then poof, she's gone.
She's gone. But as she poofs away, you're staring at He Who Remains face.
Yeah.
And it's from Victor's point of view. Victor's sitting at the point of the table to look right at all of those faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when they did that, I was like, okay, this makes sense for the storyline. I totally get what's going on. All right, cool. Now we got magic, so now Loki and Sylvie are fully powered. We can do some badass stuff. We're going. They pruned Renslayer, and I'm like, that's not where I actually even said it out loud.
Yeah.
That's not where I expected them to go. But that was the point where we were. We probably should have picked up on everything else.
Yeah. Something's going down.
Something's going down. I have. I don't want to do like a, because we kind of talked about like everything is. It's all about the conversation of a flat circle and who wants to be in control of the circle when it comes back around to the 12 o'clock to start the new cycle.
So that's my theory. That's what happened.
Is that it reset the whole system?
Everything is gonna start over again.
I can get behind that. I'm not married to my version.
What's your version?
My version is everybody get reset to their own timeline.
Right.
And
except we talked about then where would Loki go?
Right. But Loki's the only one who would actually be able. He will slip through time because he will reset to the version of himself before he got pruned, where he was not time slipping. So now he's the one who's time slipping because he can't. He's dead in the current Marvel date,
right,
of 2023.
Right.
So we sit right now.
Right.
And this is 2012 Loki after the battle in New York.
Right.
So, and there's no time in the TVA. Time does not exist in the TVA.
Right.
So in the real world, and they go back and forth through time. So in the real world, we have no idea where he would go back. So I'm saying he's going to go back to the version of himself that was time slipping.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to comes in the
but he has to show back up in the Marvel universe to be killed, right?
No, it's a different Loki. He's a variant of that Loki. This Loki is a variant of that Loki.
Okay.
As soon as he picks up the Tesseract and jumps out,
yeah,
he is now a variant of the sacred timeline that was the Avengers.
Okay.
Them all time traveling was by design. That was part of the sacred timeline.
Right.
So, but as soon as Loki jumped off that timeline, he made his own branch, and that was the one that they pruned.
Right. Okay.
But
there's two of them, or there was until Loki pruned himself.
Right. What happens in other versions of time travel? If you touch yourself, you kind of both void each other out and no longer exist. But he didn't touch him directly; he touched him with the pruning stick. So,
right.
The only reason I bring this up is because the only other shot that we really haven't seen from the trailer is the Sea-Doo dealership,
right,
where Loki.
Oh yeah,
where Loki.
So then they obviously
time slips back into a spot, and it looks like Mobius is in the background.
Yeah, maybe they just go back and maybe they go through like kind of everybody's lives.
Yeah,
I mean, because
they've been talking about that a lot.
We got some right of. I mean, Mobius is the only one we've got nothing of.
Right.
So
B-15 we haven't seen it, but she has.
She has, and then Renslayer we saw a little bit.
Yeah, she's a principal at the school,
and we saw a little bit of Sylvie's.
She can't go back to where she was either because she was like what, 6 or whatever.
She was like 12.
12.
I think,
okay, whatever.
I think she said she was 12.
But
yeah, and so and like Obi and pocket protector guy that we still don't know what his name is.
I think they said
Is
Nick.
it Nick?
Yeah.
We don't know anything about them, so they could like do a whole episode of just going to everybody's where
Loki
they
slips
first
through everybody
came from.
Because he has
Yeah,
connection to everybody.
yeah,
So because he made a point of saying like these are my friends and they're doing a good job and they're trying to do the right thing. So like this version of Loki, our 2012 version of Loki, last season went through the process of redemption, and now he wants friends, and that's why him and Mobius's friendship was so important last season, and now that friendship has blossomed on to B-15, and he has a love affair. He has a love hate infatuation with himself with Sylvie, but he wants like everybody's friendly with each other because they all trying to move in the same direction to the
right.
same point.
Yep.
But I, I don't know. Like that's the
Yeah.
fun thing about the way they left this
Yeah.
episode is we can speculate for the next 7 days where everyone is going to be wrong
Probably, yeah.
because they're all going to want to do. Everybody's going to want to like, oh, this is going to put him back in 2012. No, it's not. W- with the loom exploding, is that the Big Bang?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like that would be a fun conversation to have. Like, there's all these different versions that we could be having.
Yeah.
And so, what is that? What does that all mean? And so it's just fun. I love I love to speculate, and sometimes I can kind of take parts and pieces of a story and go, it's okay. If we take this, and this, we can kind of see where we're going this way. I'm really good about it with Star Wars. I'm getting better about the Marvel stuff. But here, we don't know. We were left with Journey playing in the background.
Don't stop believing.
That somebody's working on that edit right now is going to have it up on TikTok in like 15 minutes. Like, but that's I love that. Let's now what? Like we have no idea now
Right,
what the
right.
next thing
It has
is.
just wiped everything
And,
out.
and okay, we have 2 episodes left because there's only 6 episodes.
Oh, I thought there was 8.
No, there's only 2 episodes
Oh,
left.
crap.
And when they did this last time, Mobius went to the Void and had to deal with Goliath, and that's where we met all the other Loki variants who've been pruned.
Right.
So from that point on, we knew that they were going to get out of. We knew that he was going to get out of purgatory.
Yeah.
We didn't know that him and Sylvie were going to end up going to He Remains Castle and on the timeline, but we had a pretty good idea that that's kind of the progress it was making. But
right. Just because he's pruned doesn't mean he's dead.
Right.
He's gone to this other
place. Right. But here, they just blew up the timeline.
Yeah.
All the timelines exploded.
Yeah. And the TVA.
So, what does this mean for the X-Men universe? What does this mean for the Marvel universe? What does this mean for the MCU? What does this mean about all the Netflix what
this is
that?
How we get Deadpool and Wolverine walking side by side
Oh,
on the beach.
There's some hot things going on with that right now, which is going to be that. There's some stuff coming with that people are not ready for. But one of the things that's in the latest teaser trailer, like the 30-second TV spot for the Marvels, is Kamala says, "I called for backup."
Right.
And the Bifrost.
And the Bifrost.
It's Bifrost looking.
Yeah.
Is there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're not the only one to say that. Other people have said it's the Bifrost.
Yeah.
So, or they think it's the Bifrost. So, yeah. What does that mean?
But the Bifrost looks a lot like the way this episode started, which was we didn't get the Marvel fanfare, we didn't get whatever. Yeah. We got Marvel Studios in the green and yellow, the green and gold, and then we were in hyperspace.
Yeah.
Which was us in a tunnel of the sacred timeline. We were in the tunnel of that, and it breaks out into the whatever.
Yeah.
So that looks a lot like the Bifrost,
right? And that's kind of where I was like, the light that you see at the end
Yeah.
is just the recreation of the sacred timeline
Yeah.
from the beginning, pristine, no branches, whatever.
Yeah.
And it all kind of starts over again. But I don't know.
Welcome to Miss Marvel's the Marvel's talk. My theory on that is Jane Foster. Jane Foster comes back from Valhalla. That's it. Could be Valkyrie. Would be very interesting. We're talking about Cosmic Poo, and Cosmic Poo, it's got to be Thor.
Coming back from the dead.
I am here for it. I'm here if Natalie Portman can come back and be the mighty Thor, with a bitchin' catchphrase.
It would be good too because it's the girl movie. So
right, I don't want it to be Thor.
Movie.
I don't want it to be Thor. I don't want it to be Loki.
No.
I want it to be Valkyrie.
Yes.
Jane Foster, somebody along that line.
Yep.
And so I just, I one last thing I want to talk about. This entire series has been the first season and this season has been shot so well.
Yeah.
We got some really amazing, different looking MCU camera angles and movements in this series, and this was another one. The pie room scene.
Yeah.
Where
very Space Odyssey.
Totally, with everything flickering and whatever.
Well, and it's just like super clean. Everything's got a green hue, including the pie.
Yeah. Oh, it's
pie.
Totally a homage to that. But Sylvie kind of was in that conversation. Finally, says then we're playing God, and Loki walks up to her, and the camera backs back towards the hallway. You see the whole pie display, the ceiling with the clock, which isn't working, by the way. All the dials weren't spinning.
Yeah,
and them standing there, and Loki says, "We are gods."
Yeah,
and walks. But that shot is just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Can you stand in the middle of the room because you're just off center and it's making me ADHD? Like,
and there's like they go back in time to get Victor Timely, right? And you're in the TVA and all the TVA colors and kind of homages to past times, but you can't really put your finger on like there's some stuff from like that feels 50-ish and there's some stuff that feels kind of 70-ish, and you like can't quite put your finger on it, and like the pie room is very clean and pristine, but then you go into the hallway and it's kind of dark and like golden hues, like a darker browner
and like
hue,
rock, like stony, stuff like that. Yeah.
It's just all over the place.
I called it last season. I called it retrofuturism.
Yeah, sure.
It's what they thought the future was going to be in like the 40s and 50s and whatever.
Right.
That's what they thought the future. So it has that kind of aesthetic to it. But it's just like, I just love the way they shot it. And we had one shot as they were going to the control room where the camera got to the one room first where the cocoa machine was.
Yeah.
And it stayed on the cocoa machine for like 3, 4, 5 seconds and then panned back because the hallway is right there. And then the rest of everybody came in. It's like, why are we spending so much time on this? And then there's the shot with B-15 and the other judge in the main control room of the TVA. And they're sitting off to the side.
Yeah.
And in the background
is
prominently the
monitor.
The monitor. And the camera, as the two of them are talking, the camera is panning towards that.
It did it twice. It was like on that, and then it went to them, and then it went back, and you're like, we get it.
Yeah, I just love they brought some directors in who haven't done a ton of stuff for this series, and I believe, was it this episode or last episode? It's like this script supervisor from last season directed it.
Oh wow!
And it's like his first directorial, major directorial thing. He's like done some student films or side things or whatever. But it's been stuff like that they're doing. So we're getting these different shot compositions, these different ideas.
Yeah.
The flowing shot last week of through the barrio in Chicago, and then the camera follows them through the door, and now we're into fair Chicago.
Yep.
That whole thing was just it's just been really, really good.
Yep.
That is our thoughts on. I'm sure we missed a ton of stuff, but that was the conversation we were going to have about this one. So let us know what you thought about this episode and our disruption. Our blowing up of the sacred timeline that is our show. Be nice, please. Be nice. Please be nice. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links in the description down below. If you're at this point in the video, I will be at UwuCon in Mesa, Arizona this weekend. I will be wearing my Pop Culture Cult shirt. Come by, say hi. I may have presents. I may not. It just depends on what I put in my backpack. We'll be there Friday and Saturday, unless I have to go back Sunday for something big. But I will probably cut this out and put it on TikTok. But yeah, if you see us, come by and say hi. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.